All right, so this is a very, very special video. I'm really excited to tell the story. I've told this story to a lot of random people that I've met throughout the years. And a lot of people from where I'm from definitely know the story, and hopefully they'll be excited to maybe hear it again, and or the fact that the story will be told on my channel and hopefully more people will actually get to see it. Now, in comparison to like when we used to put out video parts, like on YouTube, like when you know, a local video would come out, it's crazy to think that like those videos would get like 500 to 1,000 views, and we were like, oh, that's like so sick, like 1,000 people saw, you know, Adam Schweitzer's video part. And like now, you know, having a YouTube channel where the skating a lot of times is a much lower tier than people working on a video part for an entire year, but since there's like, you know, it's like a daily upload and there's personality to it, this, that, and the other, and different skaters, and they get like thousands of views, it's definitely kind of almost jarring at first when I go look at like an old video part that I put like serious work into, and it has like, you know, like 8,000 views. Meanwhile, I'll do like a board setup video and it'll get like, you know, 80,000 views, and I'm like, what? If only we knew back then. Like that people just wanted to watch us set up our boards and not struggle with a Smith Big Spin on a handrail for 3 hours. I would have saved a lot of time. So we're gonna talk about, it's not just like some dude who almost made it in skating. The story isn't about, oh, it didn't happen because of X, Y, and Z. It's not a story about like this person went to this famous spot and did this thing. It's not a skate legend where it's like there's beef between this skater and that skater. No, 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 nothing like that. This is a very, very unique story. One that I don't know if another story like this exists, and it's pretty incredible that I got to watch it happen firsthand. And even while I was watching it, I already knew like this is something kind of crazy. Like whatever's going on right now is insane. And this whole story revolves around something called Skatology Skate Shop. So I am going to turn on my screen recording for this video. So Skatology Skate Shop is a skate shop that is in Bel Air, Maryland. Now, Bel Air, Maryland is by no means a city. They do not have that many spots. In fact, I would argue that they have less spots in the entire area of Bel Air than I have in golf ball hitting distance from where I am sitting right now. Like there's like, don't get me wrong, there's like a couple kind of spots, but they're like not good spots by any means, and very difficult to skate. I mean, the handrails here that people would skate are like cracks at the top, the bottom, no run up, need a piece of wood, just absolute atrocious garbage. And so you would expect an area like that not to spawn some really talented skateboarder. In fact, you wouldn't expect a skate shop to exist in that area at all. Lo and behold, a gentleman named John, just like a skateboarder, started a skate shop, and he put together a team. Now, my first meeting of the Skatology kids, I actually had met Chris Metlick before Skatology was a thing, and we would skate, you know, we'd randomly see each other at the skate park and, you know, talk a little bit. And I remember like when we were all learning how to do like kickflip 50-50s and like kickflip 5-0s on ledges, he had already taken kind of a different route. I remember he learned switch front blunts on a flat bar, and I just remember that trick feeling so foreign, because it's like, okay, I can kickflip at something and, you know, roll the dice and hope I get into it, but to have the control to do switch front blunt, I already could tell then that I was like, oh man, this kid's like kind of onto something. Like he's figuring something else out. I'm gonna keep going in this direction over here, but like, whoa, that kid's really good. Skip forward to I get my first skate shop sponsor, and I end up going on a trip to Philadelphia, and we happen to run into the Skatology crew while we're there, and just kind of skating with them. My shop sponsor, Charm City, we had our own skate park. So like, talk about an advantage. Not only did we have our own skate park, it was in Baltimore, Maryland, tons of skate spots. I would skate around the city all the time. Like, what an advantage we had over these Skatology kids based on like geographical location alone. Much less the fact that we had a skate park. Like, we had our own skate park that we would skate after hours, before hours. I would literally get dropped off there and skate there all day. And yeah, I don't know, like they were still like really good. Like, we go to the spots and they were like, I don't want to say that they were like keeping up with us, like it was a competition, but like they were doing really good tricks for the time, and we were trying to do really good tricks for the time, and like we were like skating together, and no one was really like smoking the other person in any which way, shape, or form. I remember Ian that day did a nollie down a 12 stair and a kickflip down a 12 stair. I tried to pop shove at the 12 stair, I couldn't do it. It's at Temple University. And then we skated a flat gap, and it was a really fun trip, and I just remember being like, oh yeah, those guys are really rad. We ended up going to their video premiere, and it was like kind of all over the place. The video was called The Syndrome, and wasn't exactly like the craziest video ever, but there was like a couple tricks and we were like, whoa, that's pretty good. And in particular, there was a kid named, oh my God, Eric, who skated to Modest Mouse, and I was really stoked on that. But his part by no means was that good. Like, it was just like, he was kind of like almost like a flow kid for the shop. And then Ian wasn't even on the shop. He was just in the Friends montage, and he like full cabbed like a little 3-block, and like it was super, I don't want to say like lackluster to like be a dick, but like, you know, they were newer skaters. But there was stuff in the video that I was like, oh, like that was really sick. Now we were working on our video, and we were like going all out. Like we were trying super hard for our video. We ended up putting out our video. They came to a premiere. They were super supportive. All those dudes were super rad. And then it started. We started seeing pictures on Facebook, or no, I'm sorry, on MySpace, maybe Facebook, but no, it was definitely MySpace. I take it back, definitely on MySpace, of tricks that were just like, there's no way that they did that. Like there was a 4-flat-4 in Baltimore that people skated, and I remember like I frontside flipped it for like my third to last trick of my part, and they just like posted a photo of Ian with a frontside flip over the double set rail, and we were just like, well, he didn't. There's no way he did that. That's, or not Ian, it was Eric. Eric frontside flipping over the double set rail. Now he's the one who skated the Blakowski, the Modest Mouse song, that wasn't even that good. So I was just like, there's no way. Like, what now? And we just, I remember we were all just like, kind of like, there's a buzz about it. Like, are they faking photos? And then he was 5-0ing. It was another one of Eric 5-0ing this gigantic hubba at Temple University that was terrifying to even 50-50. And he was grinding a 5-0, and his foot was kind of in a weird spot. And it said, would you come to our next premiere if you pop shove it into this? It was the caption. And we were just like, well, obviously he didn't. What is even going on? And then slowly but surely they started like dropping more photos of these tricks that these new kids on the shop that 6 months ago weren't even really noticeably good for the time, and they were doing like these insane tricks. So now I'm gonna jump into playing that video. Now I think this video is 11 or 12 years old, but I found a YouTube channel that posted everyone's parts about 10 years ago. So these video parts are super far ahead of the time, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about each skater individually now as we go through the parts. And yeah, it's insane that any of these kids got good, much less the steepness in how good they got and how fast it all happened. I mean, it was just like absolutely insane. Okay, so we're gonna scroll down. Okay, well, we're gonna start with, not the throwaway footage. Okay, here we go, starting the screen recording now. We're gonna start with, let's do Alan Beers, because Alan, personally wise, like as far as like getting along with him, he was my favorite of the whole squad. I'm turning down the music because he skates the Shakira. And this video part, he was the #1 dude on the team, I think. Like him and Chris Malik were kind of battling for like the best dudes on the team. And then a couple months, or I guess what ended up being like over a year later, this video came out. And then, don't get me wrong, Alan is insanely good in this video. Like, this is a great video part, but he wasn't the top dude anymore. Like, it was like so quick how it shifted. Still an incredible skater and an amazing person. The reason that, you know, he wasn't as, probably didn't grow as fast as the other guys is because he went and became a nurse. Like, he was going to school for like years and years, working like, going to school for like crazy hours and still managing to like put stuff out. Now, this is a local skate shop video, keep that in mind. And this is like 12 years old. And we're seeing tricks in this video part. I think this is second part in the video, maybe it was first part, that are like, oh, like he's like doing legit tricks on like legit spots. Like this is like a real, like tray flip 50-50, like, oh, that hub looks terrifying. We're gonna skip forward a little bit through this, get to the end. Crook big spins, we'll go to here. Oh, I think this is the line where he does big spin front nose, big spin out, which is a trick that I'm still super stoked on. Hopefully it'll load. I don't know what's going on. Did I break my thing? Maybe. Oh, yeah, I paused it. Yeah, I forget what the first trick was, but then yeah, big spin front nose, big spin out. And so, let me tell a quick Alan Beer story that we used to be on their MySpace, just because it's really, really fun. Now he was, you know what, never mind, I'm not gonna tell a story. There's some really gnarly Alan Beer stories, but you know what, it's not my place to tell on a bunch of strangers. But I'm sure he wouldn't mind. That gap that he nollie flips is insane. The run-up rolls over downhill. Doing anything nollie was bonkers. He was also like the dude on the team who would like ollie the biggest stuff. There was like a 22 stair that was in Bel Air that that's a 14 that he's kickflipped. That he tried to ollie, and this other kid Shane afterwards did ollie it. Chaos like that rail's insane. He did ollie it, but the one that he landed was for a photo, and then when he went back to film it, he bailed, and the impact was so intense on his heels that they bursted open. His heels like busted open, and he couldn't. I think he was like done skating after that. Like I think he didn't really do much after that. Big old double set, just like gigantic ollies. Dogs chasing him. 3-flip, 50-50, kickflip out. Yeah, that was the one I was waiting for. I thought that was earlier in the part. Alan, just an absolute sweetheart. Oh, here we go. I think this is, I forget what this double set's called, but it's a 5-flat 5. And no one skated it. It's been there forever. But then the Skatology kids, when this video came out, they just all went there and absolutely demolished it. And I do believe that is the last trick. Look at the paint on his face. What a sweetheart. Okay, we're gonna go back because recommended videos was my videos. Actually, you know what, I should just like live stream me watching my own YouTube videos. I'm sure you guys would really appreciate that. Okay, this account right here, I'll link it in the bio, has a lot of local Maryland skaters. We'll do Mark. So Mark recently just passed away, I believe a week or two ago. It's funny because I was planning to do this video before that happened, and I guess I'm going to talk a little bit about Mark himself before before we come on to skateboarding, because like he was like such a sweet kid. Like he was like kind of like that monotone, stiff humor, and like always so positive. Like I don't know, man. He was like one of those people where like if he was like talking shit, it was like in the nicest way possible, and it was like always constructive. And he was like the dude on the team who just had like really good style. Like he just had like a really good control over his board. This was during the time, I mean 12 years ago, we were all wearing really tight pants and in our zero phase, and he was already like, you know, wearing the baggier clothes, more style driven, had a really cool trick selection, like that front board pop out's really gnarly. Yeah, man, Mark was an absolute sweetheart. And one of the earliest memories of Mark was I think he had a part in the first Skatology video, the Syndrome. It's not the actual first one, but the one I was talking about earlier. And I remember it was like a decent part, and then I was trying to hard flip this gap called the Pavilion, and I went back like I think 2 times, and I just kept sticking and couldn't ride away. And then the second time I went there, as we were coming back, we stopped at a pizza spot right down the street, and someone was like, "Oh yeah, Mark hard flipped it like 2 months ago. Like, don't bother going back to it." I think that hard flip was actually in this part, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "Well, that works out." Yeah, it's just really rad dude. Always positive. That was actually, I don't even, is that in Long Beach, I think? That manual front 50270? I forgot about doing front 50270s that way. Yeah, I mean, you can just see like in his style, like he just like knows what's going on. Let's skip forward a bit to some of the enders, nose bunk off that. He has that floaty style, sort of like, I don't know, sort of like a classic iPath style, I want to say. Front port shovel, and that's insane. I do not remember him doing that. That rail was in York, Pennsylvania, and it was really good, and now it's really gone. They tore out like the entire section of that building. Fakie front shove, see, ahead of the game. I just recently started trying to do that stuff, that trick down stuff. Front lip 360 that way, like, yeah, he was just on his own shit. While most of the team was getting really hucky, he got hucky, but he was also like very creative driven and sort of like having like a feeling for the video part. It seemed like he put a little bit more thought into that. Or maybe not, maybe he just was just so good. There's the hard flip. Tried to hard flip that so many times, couldn't do it, and then it's just like thrown in his part. Like, oh, you bastard. Yeah, Mark was definitely a super sweetheart. Let's see, they have the Something Wild grip tape. Like switch heel, like it looks regular. God, dude, such that 9 stair, that was his last trick. Yeah, let's not watch my video part. That was a very long 9 stair, and it's like one of the very few spots that you can skate when it's raining, because the roof comes out far enough that I mean, it just ended up being a rain spot. The 2 times that I went there to try something down it was during rain, and there was like a session going, so I ended up not even bothering to skate it. Okay, now we're gonna get into the real meat. Here's Chris Metlick's part. This part is I already started watching this evidently pretty recently. A little spoiler right there from Eric's part. Love Gap. These kids, you might know who these kids are just based on what they did at Love Gap, because they just skated Love Gap when it was still a hot thing. So that rail's insane. First person I ever saw skate it. This spot was in York, Pennsylvania, and dude, it's just like front three. He didn't even do front threes, and he front threw that gap. Front feeble that 11 stair that was in North Carolina. So these guys would make a lot of trips to North Carolina because on the East Coast, especially the area of the East Coast, so we were like Maryland, if you wanted to go to some good stair spots and rail spots, you kind of had to go south towards North Carolina where it, I don't know, like the ground was a little bit smoother, and there was just, for whatever reason, all the spots that Jevons would take us to, no cracks at the top of any of those rails, which is pretty weird for the East Coast. Switch front board, that awful 10 stair. Back nose blunt, yeah, like no one was back nose blunting. No non-sponsored kids were back nose blunting back then. So all these kids didn't really ride for anything besides this random skate shop, and they like basically would drive like 6 to 7 hours to skate spots, and they still managed to get this good. I have to this day no idea, I mean, how they just kept getting so much better and better. It's almost like they had like a private TF that no one knew about. I think at some point in time, I think it's still there, Chris had like a barn that he put like a mini ramp in or something like that. And then they all started skating transition really well, which was like overnight. I remember, you know, we had a skate park. So obviously we were all pretty like savvy with mini ramp and stuff like that. And these guys didn't skate any of that stuff. And then it was just like overnight they were like, oh no, we skate transition now. And they were doing fucking like, you know, airs and blunt flip tricks and all kinds of stuff. That was a really rad bench spot. I missed that spot. Switch front nose, a handrail. This part, like 50-50, this kink rail, that footage is ancient. Look how little he is. He has like short black hair. Like, I think some of the clips in this video were just like filmed by each other, like random cameras, like not even VX, just like random handy cams. Because that's how like they just like did it. It was very like, oh, we're working on a video, let's go film with whoever. It didn't even matter like who filmed it. Like, I think you know, maybe one of them had like a GL even, and they would just go like do gnarly tricks. There was definitely times in my life where like we would go to a spot and we didn't have like the right filmer with the right camera, and I wouldn't try something I was scared of. I was like, oh, I'll save it for, and they would just like go, I feel like they would just go to spots without even having cameras and then just be like, oh, I hope someone can like happen to have a camera when we're there, and then, you know, they get some like crappy angle of whatever and they use it. Like the other kind of dudes who would have definitely, if they were out back then, used cell phone footage in their video parts, because like nollie backside flip, that 3 block, that is a relevant trick. That was like a hot gap, and that is like a trick that was on par with what everyone else was doing. In fact, this entire part, Chris's entire part, is on par with what AMs were doing at the time on the high levels, and some pros. Nollie heel front board on that handrail, like, do you see how, let me put it to you like this, his last trick in his video part that came out before this one was a nollie Smith grind on an 8 stair rail. And in this video part, like, he nollie heel front boarded street rail, like that feeble gap out rail, like that was at this really halfway decent, it was called Sawmill Middle School, I think, and had a couple random spots there, but that rail was buck. I think someone else recently after he did that feebled it, like a pro skater went and feebled it too. Okay, scrolling down. Okay, here we go. Now we are gonna do my favorite part to review. We're gonna do Eric's. So Eric, all I can say about Eric is this. I think Eric might have been too good at skateboarding for his own good, because it came so easy to him. He just kind of stopped skating. He got really into, like, I think he was like playing music, and he would go to a lot of shows and stuff like that. Like a lot of like, I don't know if it was like metal or heavy rock or whatever he was into. And you can tell by the way he dresses, that's probably, you know, the type of music that he liked. But he would just do stuff. Like, he would just do anything he wanted. Like, so this is the kid who skated to the Modest Mouse song. Like, he nose grinded that 12-step rail on a line. Like, they all just decided that they weren't scared of everything or anything, and then just went out and filmed these like insane parts. But Eric also had the bonus ability of just like being naturally really coordinated with his skateboard to where he could like learn tricks. And I'm gonna tell a story right now that hopefully it comes up as I'm talking about it. The story goes like this. That pavilion gap that I was trying to hard flip, it has a 3-stair on the other side, like a little baby 3-stair. And he learned how to do switch front heels on flat at that school, or I mean at that spot. And then so he did switch heel, front heel on flat, and he was like, oh, I'll try it down the 3-stair. Switch front heel the 3-stair, and then was like, oh, I'm going to switch front heel the gap. And then he switched front heel this gigantic gap. The pavilion gap is the equivalent of, I think it's 9 stairs tall and probably 12 to 13 stairs long. And the landing is like crappy, and the run up is short, and there's a crack at the top. So anything on it's pretty relevant. Nollie half cap flip like an 8-stair, a really cool looking nollie heel flip, that crazy looking triple set. Like, they were just like doing all this stuff just to do it. Like, no one was hooking them up. They're in the middle of Bel Air. I think he kickflip 50-50s this rail too, which is like kickflip 50-50 on a round rail back then. No one was really doing that. Lip slide to fakie that rail. Oh yeah, this hub is in Baltimore. It's been there forever, and no one tried to skate it because it's unskateable. And there he is skating it. Yeah, these, I cannot stress this enough. These guys are doing tricks that we were seeing in professional skateboard videos coming from an area that had no spots. And on top of that, they were just not giving a shit. They were just like doing it. I remember like being so blown away that after this video came out, here's a switch front heel. Like he just learned it that day. Front blunt faking on his nose dragging on that. Like after this video came out, we were expecting every single one of them to just immediately get blown the fuck up. Look at that kickflip grind pop over. Come on, man. Come on. Eric quit skating shortly after this. I think he's still like dabble around. And he's that asshole who will pick up a board and be just as good as he ever was. Like he'll be like, oh yeah, I haven't touched this in a while. Tray flip nose grind. Yeah, like, and I've heard a couple people say like he was skating was so easy to him that he just got kind of bored of it. That gap that he just hard flipped is impossible to skate. That 360 flip down love gap, Chris Cole tried that and couldn't do it. Chris Cole went there a couple times to tray flip it, and I think it was Eric's first time going there to tray flip it, and he just like does it. Like, it's just, dude, some people, they just got it like that, and I am so stoked that they are from Maryland. I hope that some people like go and start watching these video parts. Did I just watch an entire video part? I think I did. And then this is the last video part in the video. This kid wasn't even on the skate shop. He was just like in the friends montage in the first video. And this is, you know, 2 years later or something like that. Last part is, this part is insane. This part is absolutely insane. So he was getting Flow by Vox when I was getting Flow by Vox. And I remember being at the warehouse when they were like watching his footage and just being like who the you know, here's what was annoying. They were talking about the way he was dressing and not the tricks that he was doing. They're like, yeah, his pants are a little tight. I'm like, who fucking cares? Look how fucking sick he is. I mean, even back then, like, your aesthetic still like mattered a lot in skating, but it was really annoying to like watch them pick him apart when it's like, dude, you'll see what he does in this video. Like that switch varial heel down that 5 block. I think Kerry Getz did like frontside flow down that 5 block. Like, that thing was big. Spots in North Carolina, like he was one of those dudes who didn't seem like he would be able to do a lot of like ledge tricks and do like the more techie stuff because his video parts would be stuff like this. But I watched him learn big spin switch back 5-0 in, I think it was 3 tries, front 5-0 to fakie on that rail. Like he could do whatever he wanted. He just stuck to this stuff because this is the kind of skating that he enjoyed. That front board pop out was super sick. It's in Lancaster. I never been to that rail, but they all told me that it was really gnarly. Look at that little creative trick there. Board slide to 5-0, switch front nose. This switch big heel into that thing, so we all skated out of it like a Euro gap. No one did anything into it, much less like that fucking trick. That front 3 was probably first try. Not like backside flip down like a decent sized gap. And this is just like the beginning of his part. Like his part is like about to like go off. Like switch hauling that gigantic gap. What did he do on this? Like Wally blunt pop out. I remember seeing that, and that was like sort of at the time like my switchbacks up with that gap, my niche of doing like sort of the Wally stuff and the more, I don't know, tricks along that line. And then seeing him do that, I was like, oh no, he could do that if he wanted to. That gap is insane. They took me to that gap when I first went to Bel Air to skate with those guys, and I remember I really wanted to do it, but I couldn't make myself try it. Bonsai big spin on that was super sick. I always wanted to skate that gap. I know it's in North Carolina. Sam Hurd, one of the raddest dudes ever. He's definitely like a local. Corey Huber, he's pro for Terror Planet X now. That's Kerry Getz and Mike Maldonado ride for it. What does he do down this set in this line? This is a really long 6 there that looks like it's filmed with like a flip phone. Bigger spin. How random was that trick? Like what? Kickflip front board, shove it out on a handrail. Like what do you? Oh my god, this part was so good. Nose grind, like float out. Transition. So that's the owner of the skate shop right there. He did the backsmith, and then Ian was like, "Oh, I skate transition now. Look like back one, back foot flip." He probably can't even do that trick, and he did that trick. Switch laser flip. Probably never done that before. Did it down that. Like, they just could do it. I don't know if it was like, you know, when you skate with better people and it makes you a better skater. Maybe they were all just like feeding off of each other in such like a perpetual energy way where it's like he did something and he did something and he did something, and they just were influencing each other so aggressively that that's how they managed to get good. But like switch pop, shove it down, love gap. That, in my opinion, is by far the gnarliest trick ever done down love gap. It's not his ender. He does another trick down love gap. He did 2 MBDs down love gap. But switch shove it, if you've been there, the ground was slippery, and scooping a switch shove is insane on slippery ground, especially going as fast as you need to go for that gap. Holy crap. That gap is insane. Someone else ollied it, I think. Back 180 is insane. like back tail shove on that handrail. Like these kids were like, if this part came out now, you'd still get hooked up. Backside flip, that gigantic double set. Dude, I love the vibe of like this like homie cam stuff, and then it randomly goes to like Jevons filming like a switch big heel with like a legitimate camera. What else did he do? Nollie big heel, like dude, this fucking kid was just on it. And then here's the big spin down love gap. The story goes, he did big spin love gap, and then I think he did it, he like his hand touched, and then he went back and then he like big spinned it again. Like he big spin love gap twice. Switch flipped that gigantic gap that he switch ollied, because I guess switch ollie wasn't enough. Honey go 14 stair. He just fakey flipped a 14 stair in like 2000, early 2000s. Like that was probably the most stairs ever fakey flipped at that point in time. And he just did it for a skate shop video without having any sponsors. And yeah, man, like Ian is still skating. A lot of them are still skating. Alan's still skating. Chris Malik, who had the part where he did the nollie heel front board down the handrail, he blew his knee out really, really bad. But now he like runs a tree company, like a tree chopping down company, like a lumber company, I think, that he inherited from his dad, and he's just like absolutely murdering it. Like I see photos of him now, and he's just like, he just looks like that classic rustic, like has like the beard and the you know, like lumberjack fucking jacket, and like he's all like kind of like stocky now. It's pretty sick to see like the man that he became, especially like going from like the zero phase of like the wristbands and like being really into that side of skating to like the other extreme almost of like, you can tell when he does something like he fully does it. Super rad dude. Big fan of all these guys, honestly. Ian just put out a part recently. It was called Hunting Season, where he shared it with Nat Bollinger. That part is on Thrasher. And you can kind of see what he's been up to. Still an incredible skater, still on top of it. He's got a kid, you know, he's got a family. Alan Beers also has a kid. You know, who else? Jimmy's part, I didn't see Jimmy's part on there. Maybe it is on here, but I'm not gonna have time to get to it because I don't want this video to run super long. But there's another guy, Jimmy, on the team, who he lives in, I think, North Carolina now, who he half cabbed over the Rincon 4 block rail way back then, which was like a really relevant trick. Like if someone else did that trick in a video part now, it would definitely still get used. And this is, once again, a skate shop. So yeah, if you get a chance, you know, check out this JP Ninja, and scroll through. He posts just like a bunch of old Maryland videos, like a bunch of local legends. I think Sketch might have some stuff on there, and Tony Massey, some skaters that, like, you know, were just locally like the big names. And, you know, Jason Spivey, I saw he was on there. I did find someone else who posted some old footage of the Skatology guides, and right next to him, when I was looking for it, I found a John Hill part right next to, I think it was Ian's part, when John Hill was like, you know, also like going in on the whole street skating thing. And it's just funny, like, oh yeah, like this was like that realm when John was trying to do the street thing and I was trying to do the street thing, and all these guys were like light years ahead of everyone else. And I don't know, I hope you enjoyed that story. It is one of my favorite stories to tell, and to relive it is pretty exciting. All these dudes are the best. They're all on social media. They'll be pretty easy to find if you want to hit them up and be like, hey, you were insane, and I hope you're still skating, and I hope you're still killing it like you were then, because I think they all are. I think Ian is better at skating now than he was then, which is saying something. And I think Alan is as well. Eric probably would be if he skated. But yeah, Skatology Skate Shop, man. Bel Air, Maryland, owner John. If you're gonna support a skate shop, I highly recommend supporting them if you're in the area, or they might even have an online store. Super rad dudes. I mean, the owner skates, and like he skates. And he was working a second job while he was running the skate shop so he could still run the skate shop. Like, just a really good group of people. Anywho, hope you enjoyed the video. I am gonna go take a nap.